Hello,
Are you Alex?
I am.
I'm Chris. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Can you
Yeah.
see and hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Hear you great. Where are you located?
I'm in Tennessee.
Oh, you're not too far away from me. That's good.
Where are you located?
West Virginia.
Oh, okay. Been there
Yeah.
many times. Used to live in Maryland, so I went to Falling Waters quite a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Beautiful area. West Virginia's got some pretty scenery.
We
Um,
do.
Tennessee as well. My wife and my children vacation in Tennessee every year.
Oh, nice. They don't
Yeah.
take you with them?
Nope, they leave me behind. She gives me a honey-do list of things to fix around the house, and she's like, I'll be back in a week.
Lucky you, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's okay. So I guess we're going to talk about some heavy metal, right?
We are.
Good,
And again, I'm Alex. I have a YouTube channel and also an Instagram, A Love Sugar Show. So thank you for joining us all the way from West Virginia.
Well, it's a honor and a pleasure to be on your show today.
Yeah, and today we are speaking with Chris, and we're gonna talk about the new album. So I'm really excited to dive into that.
Awesome, let's do that. Try to turn my phone off, make sure it's off. Got it. Okay, ready to roll.
So the first question that I ask anyone that I'm interviewing is, how's everything going? Not just music-wise, but also in your personal life as well.
You know, everything is going great. Normally, like I've got 3 children and run 2 businesses, so my life is super hectic. And then I have the band on top of all of that. So I like being busy, and right now I am hella busy, so life is really good. No one's sick, you know. That's how you predicate whether life is good when you have children is anyone sick in the house?
Yeah. And we also have Ryan joining us as well, I see.
What?
Yeah.
This is like a OJ, this is your life. No, I told the guys to jump in anytime they want. Ryan is our bass player.
Hey,
There he is.
Go. Hey, can you hear me okay?
Sound great. How,
Okay,
Ryan?
perfect. How's it going?
Good, brother. I'm wrapping up. I'm on my last one of the day.
Perfect.
And welcome, Ryan. My name is Alex. I'll be the one interviewing you.
Awesome. Thank you.
The question that I do ask everyone, which I've already asked Chris, is how's everything going, not just musically, but also in your personal life as well?
Personal life, I can't really complain all that much. I mean, staying happy and healthy, and the wife and the pets are doing okay. So, and I can't complain about my job, my day job that keeps the, food on the table and allows me to play music with my friends in Byzantine. So yeah, I'm living a good life. Can't complain.
Well, that's awesome.
Has anyone asked you, how was your life?
It's been a rough week, but so far things are going good.
Good.
Thanks for asking.
You're welcome. It is Friday, so
Yes.
put that rough week behind you. Go
There you
into
go.
a good weekend, and hopefully we carry that on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the bio for this album, it mentioned that this album has taken years of ups and downs to create. Can you tell me a little bit more about those ups and downs and what you meant by that in the bio?
Well, if we're going to talk short term, this album was recorded close to 2 years ago. Is that correct, Ryan?
Yeah, we finished up at least my bass tracks about 2 years ago.
Yeah. So the recording process for this album took extensively longer than they normally do because of some challenges we ran into, financial challenges, injuries, things of that nature. So that took what could have been an 8-month project or a 6-month project and turned it into a 1.5 to 2 year project. But then if you look on the broad scale of things, it's been 8 years since we've released our last album. So there's been a lot of changes in the band. That's why the album title Harbinger is so apropos, because Harbinger means the one who ushers in great change. And we've had a lot of change over in the band for the good for once. Yeah.
And do you want to add anything to that, Ryan?
Uh, he pretty much summed it up as best as I could. But yeah, it's been we started demoing some stuff out probably, early 2022, maybe I would say. And I know we started to jam on Floating Chrysanthema, what ended up being our first single. We started to jam that in the studio at the end of 2022. So we've been at this a long time, and we came in pretty prepared. We decided to rehearse all the songs before even going into the studio so that we were ultra prepared. And it still ended up taking way too long. But at least we knew the songs inside and out, and it helped us when we thought we had the structures down, we would
Hmm.
jam them, and somebody would pipe up, like Hendo, the lead guitar player, would be like, I think the verse is too long, or I don't like that riff, we should like kind of retool it. So it helped us in the long run kind of figure out some stuff. So
Very cool. It sounds like you guys definitely tried to be as organized and prepared as possible when recording the album, but sometimes things don't always go to plan.
No, never go to plan. So as long as you're prepared for it to not go to plan, you're prepared.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I listened to the album a few times. The first
Mm.
track is kind of like a peaceful welcome to the album, and then it abruptly stops, and then you're greeted by an awesome guitar riff. Can you tell me about that? Was that planned?
Yeah, it actually was. That little intro melody was written by our lead guitar player, Hendo, and we loved it. We couldn't find a spot for it anywhere in the songs or the album. So we decided to see if we could use it as a intro or an outro. And luckily, the song I wanted the album to start with, it starts on the same note that that intro ends with. So it made a
Mhm.
perfect segue. So we just threw it right at the beginning, and gave it its time in the sun.
Anything to add to that, Ryan?
yeah, the like you said, Hendo came to us with that. I think he said he wrote that in the shower, which is I may be misremembering, but it's something I've done as well. Usually these melodies and things come to you when you're not near a guitar, which is
Mhm.
unfortunate, but that's why we have phones to record us humming the melody so we can figure it out later. But yeah, that was like, we felt that was a once we had the groupings of songs together, that was a really good way to just sort of like get things rolling. Just like,
Mhm.
don't come in hard and heavy and like we have in the past. Just like kind of ease people into it, and then just hit them right with the next track. So it worked out really well in the sequencing of it.
I can tell you it was definitely something I didn't expect, but I was like, this is amazing.
So you enjoyed the kind of slow intro in and the build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it stopped. I'm like, okay, are we pausing? Is the song over? Like
Oh,
what happened? And then
I
we go into an
get it.
awesome guitar riff, and I'm like, wow, this is really good.
Ryan, where she got the pre-release stuff, she doesn't have it tied together.
Oh,
So,
okay. So there's like a
um,
gap. Okay.
yeah. When you listen to the album that comes out, the first song and that actually flow together. There's no stop. So,
I will look forward to listening to that too.
yeah,
But I still think it's really cool how it's kind of like an introduction, like,
yeah.
welcome to the album. And it's like, just get ready because this is going to be a rock album. And then you just go straight into it. Like, I love that.
Yeah, yeah, you'll love it when it's all tied together. And then we tried to make the album like a parabola, so it takes off and peaks, and then it comes back down to the last song, which is Irene, which kind of settles back into a little more rock and roll feel.
That is awesome. I really liked it.
Cool, thank you.
So in the bio, it also describes the music as a southern tinged groove metal. That is a very unique way to describe it. Would you agree with that?
What do you think, Ryan? You agree?
Uh,
Southern
Yeah, it's
southern
southern
tinged.
tinge. Yeah, it's got a little bit of the, I guess when you think of like southern, you may think of Pantera, I guess would be part of that, but you also think of like the southern sort of southern rocks, or maybe even sort of the corrosion of conformity sort of groove.
Yeah.
They're not particularly southern, they're North Carolina boys, but yeah, I think there's at least all of us, I would imagine, have that sort of influence, the Pantera influence, and
Mhm.
a little bit of the southern rock influence coming through. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, in the bio, it also was said by you, Chris, that this album will awaken you. What do you when you say like awaken, what do you mean by that exactly? Just so all the listeners can kind of get an idea of what they're going to get into when they listen to this album.
I meant that I feel like this band has been slept on for 25 years. There is a large percentage of the heavy metal community out there that may know our name but have never really listened to us. We run into that all the time, all the time. Oh, I've saw your name, just never checked it out. So I feel like we've been
Mhm.
slept on. And then I also meant it in a even broader sense of that there's still a big portion of heavy metal fans who don't even know who we are. So I think this album, if any, should be the one that kind of wakens them up to us. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that happens.
I definitely agree. I when I listen to the album, I'm like, man, this is really good. You guys like sound like so, I don't know how to say it, like polished. It's
Thank
just
you.
it flows really well. You can tell that, the music was thought out. It wasn't just rushed together. Like there's that passion in that CD that you can hear.
There is something to be said with longevity. Like, a lot of times you may feel like you're a failure if things don't pop off for the first 5 years. Once you get into 10, 15, it's easy to give up. But then when you get to a certain point where there's a lot of street credibility and there's a lot of wisdom that comes along with your songwriting if you just stick around long enough. And
Mhm.
I have been extremely blessed to be in a band around consummate songwriters from the beginning to the end. So, what you're hearing with this album is Ryan's a very accomplished songwriter on top of my songwriting, and then Hendo bringing in his stuff. It's a band that has 3 or 4 guys that are seasoned and experienced in writing heavy metal songs. I'm glad that came across to you. I appreciate that.
Anything to add to that, Ryan?
Yeah, so I've known Chris and Byzantine basically since they started around the 2001 time frame. So started off as a friend and a fan of the band, and then coming in about 7 or 8 years ago when I joined, um, I was happy to hear that Chris was open to like, hey, you throw in some riffs. It was a best riff wins sort of scenarios,
Mhm.
kind of what we went with. So everybody just put their best in the hat, and then we went through and picked them, and just went with what we thought would make the best songs, the best group of songs for this album. And it, to me, worked out really well. You get a nice variety of stuff from me, Chris, and Hendo.
Mhm.
It's a nice sort of, you can hear all of our sort of individual influences and how we all came at certain songs differently. Like I write, I think, way differently than Chris does, and you can kind of hear that in the songs that we wrote. So.
I think to add on top of that, Alex, I think one of the interesting things with this band and this group of guys I'm playing that we have now is, like Ryan said, our writing is somewhat like drastic, but there's
Mhm.
like a Venn diagram of it where the core to my writing, to his writing, to Tony's writing, to Brian's all the same core. So it doesn't sound like two individuals who came from completely different backgrounds writing together. Like me and Ryan write really well together. It's a great dance, um, and we're lucky that that worked out like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there would be
That's awesome.
scenarios where, I would have most of a song and I just couldn't I can't figure out where to go from, this jumping point and be like,
Mhm.
Chris, go for it, see what you can come up with. And then he would kind of fill in the gaps that I couldn't figure out
Mhm.
and vice versa. So it worked out really well.
That's awesome that you guys work so well together.
Yep, yep. It's the only way we'll get anything done. There's this band there's no ego, especially when it comes to songwriting. We all respect each other as songwriters, so I think we're all each other's own worst critic. So when the other guys in the band tell me my riff is killer, I'm like, okay, I believe you, and vice versa. So yeah, it's been great.
And I know you mentioned that, especially, the first 5 years are like, okay, keep trying. And then after, more time goes on, you can get really discouraged. Because, you hear people saying, yeah, I've heard of you, but I've never listened to you. What gives you the fire to keep going and keep creating things?
Um, for me, I'm an awful quitter. Um, like we broke up. This band broke up after our third album for like 5 years, and it was kind of the lowest point of my adult life. And I was really easily able to pinpoint that it was because I didn't have music in my life. So that sticks in the back of my head the whole time. Also, I feel like we have unfinished business. And there's almost an underlying mantra in this band that as long as we're getting along and having fun and writing top shelf heavy metal, we're going to keep doing it. Like once the hangout sessions start sucking or the songs start sucking, we're going to quit. You know. But right now, they're all great. So that's why I'm still doing it.
Yeah, pretty much the same for me. It's the it's there's a passion, that I just I'm surrounded by guitars right now. I'm like I just always want to just pick up a guitar and just without even an agenda, just sit and just pluck around and play some stuff. But uh yeah, that fire is always there to just play guitar, write riffs, You never know when the inspiration's going to hit and like Chris said, as long as the hangs are good and they
Hmm.
are, that's a huge part of it for a band. Is just having a group of people that can just get along and just have a good time and
Yeah.
luckily all of us, get along really really well. So that's a huge part of it for me.
Yeah.
Well, we know that the inspiration usually hits when you're not around a guitar. So,
Indeed. Yep.
so I know when I also looked into the band, it says West Virginia Metal Vets. That already caught my attention. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about that? Because I mean, that's so metal.
um, West Virginia metal veterans. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I guess Brown, would you agree on that?
Yeah. I mean, 25 years in, I guess we could call the band veterans
Yeah.
of the music scene. I mean, the West Virginia metal scene itself, uh, it has churned out some pretty good bands over the years. Chum being one of the early ones, Carmen to Burn, and I would have always grouped Byzantine up with them as well. But yeah, those are the bands I would consider West Virginia metal veterans as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I have to ask each of you, what does this album mean to you?
Hmm. Well, I let me look for the proper word. Um, I feel like this album gives me a sense of relief. That is because 8 years removed from our last album. Life changes, two band member changes. Going from having engineers and mixing engineers that we constantly work with to doing it all pretty much in house. I was scared to death that this was going to suck. And so this album is just a giant sense of relief that how it's came out, how it's been absorbed by you all. And yeah, it's just a real good relief. It feels like some validation for sure for me. A lot of times when you're 25 years in, you're kind of
Mhm.
phoning it in. You're just trying to recreate what you did on the first album, and most of your fans know that it's not as good. But I feel like this stuff is pretty awesome.
How about you, Ryan? What does this album mean to you?
I honestly haven't thought about that, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to speak off the cuff here. But to me, um, it's a sense of accomplishment. Like, this is my first time getting to, write an album with this band. We've done some recording prior to this, but as far as like writing a full album and contributing to that, I feel really proud of the stuff I was able to bring to the band, and it feels good to hear all of our hard work actually out there.
Mhm.
As a sort of, before I joined Byzantine, working as sort of like an independent, musician, releasing stuff on Bandcamp, and it's a little bit different. This is like, once it's done, I don't know, there's this sense of like, well, it's not really ours anymore. It belongs to belongs to everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody gets to sort of enjoy what we've been kind of working on for the past 2 years, and to come out of that feeling really, really proud and really happy with the result. Like Chris said, there were some hiccups that, there was a point where I told the guys, I'm like, man, I've got a bad feeling about,
Right.
about where this is going.
Yeah. Like almost like this may not come out.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
may not be able to release this album.
yeah. It but we were able to kind of, regroup and figure out a game plan, and we, came out on top as far as
Mhm.
I'm concerned. So yeah, I'm extremely proud of this, and to me, it's a nice feather in my cap to have my first writing credits with these guys. So feels great.
That's awesome. So I have to ask, who are your musical inspirations?
Oh man, they're all across the board. I can guarantee you, if we probably each listed our top 10 in this band, two of them might be heavy metal out of everybody's list. Ryan listens to the most obscure metal, left of field metal, and other non-metal stuff. I'm gonna let Ryan start because he
Oh man,
listens. He listens to music all the time.
yeah, I try to anyway. I try to listen to new stuff more now that I'm getting older. But as far as like my, the bands that inspired me to get into music, Metallica is the easiest answer. Of course, I think a lot of people will say them, but my first true love of a band was Soundgarden. I was a huge Soundgarden fan when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And then, expanded, Corrosion of Conformity came across my table. I really, really, dug into them for a long time, still do. But it was when I, first heard Meshuggah around 98. I thought, oh, okay. This is something completely different. So they were a
Mhm.
big one early on. Uh, you know, throughout the years, Devin Townsend was a good influence, Gojira. Uh, yeah, and the list can
Goes
go
on
on.
and on.
But another one that I should mention is Primus. I'm a huge Primus guy.
Mm.
And Larry Lalonde was a big time guitar influence for me when I first started to play. He has this very sort of loose, uh, just sort of almost frantic style that something you can't really duplicate, and I really like that about him. It seemed like every time you would see him live, you would hear a different take on a solo, and it was never the same thing twice. So I really really love Primus and Larry Lalonde as
Mm.
well.
So it sounds like you're like the guru of the group. You listen to everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, I dabble. I try to anyway.
Yeah.
Any other bands you want to add to that, Chris?
Like we started about the same type. Metallica was one of the first metal bands that got me in, and then Pantera kind of shifted that for me forward. Meshuggah was the next milestone, which kind of influenced this band to start doing the technical polyrhythmic style. Opeth was a massive influence on me. And then now I listen to a lot of progressive rock, getting into Pineapple Thief and Porcupine Tree and stuff like that. But yeah, those were the bands that got me set off. But when I first started listening to music, it was all like Ozzy and, Wasp and Twisted Sister and stuff like that. So,
Awesome. So for people who haven't heard this album or haven't listened to your band, how would you describe it to them so you can let them know what they're missing out on?
well, we have a tagline, which is we are progressive groove metal. The groove is most underlying in our music. We are kind of more of a mid-tempo band that can play faster, but we choose to kind of live in the mid-tempo, and that's where the groove lies. But the progressive, we've started getting a little bit more into more elaborate key changes, things of that nature.
Hmm.
Our original guitar player, Tony Rohrbaugh, who is now back in the band, is a huge jazz influence. He's influenced by jazz a lot. So we've always incorporated some cool key changes and stuff like that. But yeah, progressive groove metal is probably where I would stick it at.
Would you agree with that, Ryan?
Yeah, I
Yep.
would. If you like mid-tempo grooves, we got that in the bag. If you like the occasional, thrash metal song, we can do that too. But we try not to stick to one thing. We try to, that's kind of part of the progressive part of it is,
Mhm.
taking the listener through a bit of a journey, giving them something that's interesting to listen to, and something that you can sort of, dig into from a uh, I guess maybe a music theory perspective, but even just a lyrical perspective and just the way the songs are written. Hopefully, it's something that the fans listen to and can have a good time sort of picking apart. When I personally hear a guitar riff that I'm like, oh, I need to pick up a guitar and learn how to play that. Like that's kind of what I hope people do with Byzantine as well, especially this album. That's a good feeling when somebody wants to learn something that you created. I think is pretty cool.
And after listening to the album, I can tell everyone if you don't listen to this album, you really are missing out. It is really that
Thank you
good.
very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's flattering. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So, for the fans and for anyone who I'm sure you're going to have a lot of new fans after this album, like I said, is really good. But what's next for the band?
Hopefully we need to play some really cool live shows. That would be the next thing that I think this band needs to do. When when we first started 2004 to 2006, we were touring a lot and getting a lot of exposure. In the last 10, 15 years, we've been doing a lot of domestication,
Mhm.
raising kids, working jobs. Um, but now I think it's time for us to get out in front of some fans, hopefully play some festivals.
Mhm.
I would love to go with my group of best friends here to another country. and experience that together. So I hope that that's what is on the horizon.
That is awesome. Well, if you do start going live, make sure Tennessee is one of those places you come.
Yeah, yeah. Are
Yeah.
you near a large city?
I mean, I live in Knoxville. It's kind of growing because a lot of people are moving here, but we have
Yeah,
occasionally not huge bands, but semi big bands come here. Also,
yeah.
Nashville, they have the bigger venues, but
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We came through Johnson City a couple years ago.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost didn't make that one because of the our bus broke down, but
Yep.
we
That
made
ha-
it. It was a great show.
yep. Yep. That happens to us all the time. So.
And then the last question that I have for you both is if you can let the fans know when the album comes out, where they can get it, and also just any final messages that you have to your old fans, people who's going to listen to you for the first time, or anyone interested in purchasing the album.
Go ahead, Ryan, if you don't mind.
Sure. Album drops June 13th, correct? That's Friday the 13th. Anywhere you get your music, it should be there. We do have CDs for pre-order through Metal Blade, and you can find those in the usual channels as well. I believe it's also on Bandcamp if you're into Bandcamp. Uh, but yeah, we hope that this is something that, obviously pleases the old fans. I think it will. All the elements of Byzantine are still there, but I feel like this is something a little different. It's same band, but it's a different flavor to me. So I think, the old fans will really appreciate it and really dig it, and hopefully we can make some new ones along the way.
Yeah, Alex, we started experimenting really early on in our
Mhm.
career. Our second album, I think we started expanding into more jazzier and progressive stuff. So our fans they expect us to take turns and twists. If we don't, I think they'll be disappointed. So they're gonna be really happy with this album. And one of the last places that anybody who don't know us can go and find out more about us is ByzantineWV.com, which is ByzantineWestVirginia.com. That's our standalone website that has our shows, our merch, and all our social media links.
Well, awesome. And for anyone watching the video, I'll leave all the links underneath so it's super easy for you guys to pre-order. Again, it does come out on June the 13th. And I want to thank you both so much for taking the time for doing this interview.
Thank you too,
Absolutely.
Alex. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No problem. And as soon as everything goes up, I'll tag you guys. You can share it with your followers as well.
Awesome. Will do. Thank you.
Killer.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.